There was another question I had for you. I'm curious the maintenance side of all of these systems we've talked about.
Yeah, that's great. That's very wise to be heads up that mechanical pieces don't last forever, right? And somebody needs to put eyes on them. So that's
Yeah.
basically what we recommend is let's get a maintenance cycle established, whether it's something you're comfortable doing yourself or hiring a professional. But either way, mechanical systems do need to be looked at. So for the ERV system specifically, there are some easy to operate latches, and there are really there's a few components. But as far as maintenance, you're looking at two things. You're looking at these filters, and then you're looking at the core, which is kind of hidden by this metal piece, but there's the actual heat transfer core behind there. So with bringing in outdoor air, you may get some debris and dirt and leaves and stuff. So that filter just needs to be changed. You'll want to kind of fine tune and establish your frequency, but in general, it should be done, let's say, every season. The core lasts a little longer, but as far as cleaning, these filters are actually washable, so you don't even need to replace them or go buy them at a store. All we recommend is that you pull them out, kind of knock them off, and then use a vacuum with a soft brush attachment.
Sounds easy enough.
Yeah.
At least for this system.
Right. The other system would be the air source heat pump. And that obviously gets a lot more technical, right? So most homeowners aren't gonna tackle that. What we would recommend is just a maintenance program. So any HVAC contractor that installs equipment should have a system set up, and Dave Jones does, where we can go in just prior to heating season and just prior to cooling season. So we call it a tune-up or a once over, whatever you want to call it, preventative maintenance. But we're just basically looking at refrigerant levels, blower performance, testing electrical components, and making sure that you're set for the upcoming season.
Now, is there anything with the heat pump water heater?
There is, just slightly. So there is one filter very similar to the ERV. It's not a thing that you need to go buy at the store. It's just you wash it with soapy water or use a soft brush attachment. The one thing of concern, if you do use water to rinse the filter media out, just make sure it's not dripping wet before you put it back in and drip all the water. Dry filters are the way to go. Yep, exactly.
Good. Well, I think that covers my maintenance questions and controls. So thanks
You bet.
for going over that with me.
No problem.
So there's a lot of other stuff down here. You got your water softener, you got your sump pump over there. Looks like a regular water heater, but apparently it's not.
That's a heat pump water heater, and it is another energy saving device for the house. But I'll let the expert explain how it works.
All right, yeah, they are awesome. So it is a heat pump water heater. Similar to the HVAC piece of equipment we were discussing, it uses the air as its source of heat. So up top here, you're going to bring air from the space. And again, heat is present in this air, but then that heat gets added to refrigerant, and refrigerant runs through its refrigerant cycle, which involves an expansion valve and a compressor, and the details of that, I guess we're not going to go into, but in general, you're taking heat from the air and you're adding it to the water. And you use electricity in the form of powering a compressor to kind of move that refrigerant circuit.
So some of the things, and I'm gonna go back to it, is that we're in Wisconsin, it's winter, and you're talking about dragging heat from the air. So that has to just always be said that there's always heat in cold air and there's always cold in hot air.
It's amazing, really, if you think about it, that we're standing in, let's say, 70-degree air right now, but even if this basement got to 50 degrees, there still is a heat content. And not only that is amazing, but it can actually take 50-degree air and manipulate it through refrigerant and get it to turn water into 120 degrees. So not only can you pull air from the space, but you can manipulate it to get it hotter than it is, to then transfer that heat into the tank. So the way I think of it is you're doing two things. You're absorbing heat and you're rejecting heat. So you're absorbing heat in a coil from the air, and then you're spinning that coil around the tank and you're rejecting that heat you just absorbed into the hot water tank.
Now, one thing I was going to say, I know we talked about with Dave Jones and the builder about this, was the space around the heat pump water heater matters a little bit. Absolutely.
So what we run into is, since this is an air source heat pump, you're, just like the name implies, you're pulling air from the surrounding water heater area. So what can happen is if for some reason you were to box this into a small closet, it's going to run out of air. It's going to run out of source. So it is clear in the installation that you need to have 700 cubic feet, which assuming a 10-foot ceiling height basically means you need a 7 by 10 square foot area or 70 square foot area, 7 by 10 area to make sure this thing can breathe basically and have enough energy around it to work.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a few exceptions to that. Let's just say you did want them in a small area. It actually can be done. You just attach ducts to the unit and you pull air from another area and then you exhaust it somewhere. So
That makes sense.
yeah, they have it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this doesn't look different than a water heater, a normal one I've seen.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job of making it look just like a standard water heater. However, there are some controls built into it which separate it from a standard water heater. So specifically, you have some electronic controls and connectability, I guess I would call it. So you actually can download an app and sync up a smartphone with the water heater. So similar to running a program on a thermostat, if you were really considering energy usage, you could actually set back your water heater and make sure that it's recovered in time when you actually use water. So you can really tailor fit the water heater's heating program to how you use hot water. A few other things that are different would be the modes of operation. So this unit has some really nice features. With just a simple push of a button on the control here, you can change it from electric only, heat pump only, or energy saver is what this unit calls it. Well, energy saver is just kind of a fancy term for saying, I'll do the math for you. So it's going to recognize what the most efficient mode of operation is and just simply choose that. But nice feature about the modes is, let's just say you have a service issue or a problem down the road, you can actually switch out of that mode and still have hot water until a service plumber can come and repair.
You had me, and it does the math on its own.
I know, I'm really excited about this piece of equipment.
This has been great. Alan, from Dave Jones, thank you very much for showing us all of this.
Yeah, again, my pleasure. It was great.
Join us for the next episode of Building a Net Zero Ready Home. We're talking appliances.
That's right.
All the Energy Star appliances are hopefully going to be here.
I hope so too.
Thanks for joining us. Make sure you hit subscribe, and we'll see you at the next episode.